welcome back to a new tutorial. This week we're going to be creating this ground destruction with rigid bodies in Cinema 4D. Let's jump in and get started. Okay, so rather than do a step-by-step tutorial, I thought I would just break down the scene that I've already made because it's so simple, there's just no need to go step-by-step through this. So all you need to do is get whatever surface you want to be creating this destruction on. So maybe you've made a road or just like you've got an environment already made. But anyway, I've got a plane here, so this will be my example. So yeah, once you've got that, it doesn't matter about how much geometry it's got because we're going to be fracturing it anyway. So first thing I did was just add some thickness. So I did a thicken by holding Alt on my plane and just dropping that in. So that gave it some thickness, which you can always come back and adjust later, so that's good. And then after that's done, you want to hold Alt on the thicken and add a Voronoi fracture, which you can find in here. So I'll turn that back on and you can see we've fractured our object. So mine might look a little bit different to when you dropped yours in, and that's because I changed the distribution type to normal, which I believe it's on uniform by default, which just means it scatters the fracture evenly across your mesh. So depending on what you need, then you can test out these different types and see what works best for you. For what I'm going to do here, I think normal is better because I have the destruction going along the kind of center of my mesh. So I pick that, and then you can adjust this standard deviation, which will kind of just, you see it changes where it's going to be fracturing. Another one which looks pretty good is this exponential one, which kind of looks like a gradient, which this could be good for maybe you've got like the edge of a road, or I don't know, like just the edge of something where you don't want all of this area to be fractured, but the edges of it just to be a lot finer than these ones back here. And again, you can control that with this slider. Anyway, but we'll stick for normal for my example. So we'll drop that back on, and I reckon, yeah, I think this is probably okay. So what I've actually done is on this Voronoi fracture, I've dropped on a rigid body tag and changed its trigger to at velocity peak. So it's kind of just waiting for some kind of movement or like velocity change in each of these pieces, and then that will activate the physics on that piece. So yeah, I've turned that on, and now what I did was with the Voronoi fracture selected, you can see in this effectors tab I've got this plane which is up here, so we can click on that and we can look in this parameter section, and you can see I've changed my position Y parameter to 1 centimeter. So that means once my spherical field that I have here interacts with one of these pieces, it's going to kind of move it up by 1 centimeter, but that 1 centimeter is just allowing us to activate the physics, and then we'll make those pieces full. So yeah, you just need to make sure that your Voronoi fracture effectors has that plane inside of it. And also just make sure you've got gravity in your scene. You might either have, if you hit Control D, then you can go into the simulation tab and scene, and then you can check if your gravity might already be on. I think I just turned mine off by default. So I added mine in up here as a force. So we can always customize that as well. So if I hit play now, you can see our pieces are falling. You can't even see them move up really, they all kind of just fall nicely, and you've got these extra little bits just slowly falling away. It looks really cool. And you can see here in my render view, we do need to add a material, otherwise we're going to have all of these multicolored pieces. So I've just got a material here that I created. I didn't do anything fancy inside of it, I just gave it my usual blue color, and then just added some FBM noise to a bump map and plugged that in. I think I might have upped the scale to 500, and maybe I pulled the contrast in a little bit, but you can do whatever you want with the material, it doesn't matter. I think the only thing that I think I've noticed before is if you have a transmissive material, so if you make it like glass, then the rest of your mesh will, you'll see the fractures. So if I was to turn this up, yeah, you can see how it's already revealing those different fractures because the mesh is made up of, like, it's got more lines going through it, we can see those happening. It looks quite cool here actually, it's like ice. I actually quite like this. But if you're trying to use this effect on glass, then this might not be the correct technique, or there might be some extra steps that need to be taken to make sure that you don't see all these fractures. But yeah, this actually looks pretty cool. But anyway, we'll remove that now, we don't need that. So yeah, just a thing to remember when doing this technique. And don't forget, back in your Voronoi fracture, you have this point amount. So when you click on this source, you can change the point amount. So let me go back to the start and select that, yeah. Yeah, you can change the amount of fractures that happen in your mesh. So yeah, you could turn it right down, which is going to simulate a little bit quicker, way quicker. Or you could turn it up if you want loads of little pieces. So when I hit play now, you can see it slow down quite a bit because there's a lot more to simulate. But yeah, depending on what you want, just play around with that number. And also another thing is you might want to create a different kind of destruction effect. Maybe you want it to look a bit more like random and organic rather than just a sphere passing through, so it's all kind of like the same. So that can all just be done inside this plane effector. So you can change these, it's completely up to you. But anyway, that is it for today's video. I didn't think there was any point in doing step by step, as it's such a simple and easy technique to implement into your work. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to drop a like if you enjoyed or learned something new, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you. Hey.